Sales Platforms, Best Practices for Adoption in 2025. Sales platforms in 2025. The tech isn't the bottleneck, adoption is. In B2B sales today, most teams don't have a platform gap, they have an adoption gap. Reps are juggling CRM, engagement tools, dialers, and AI add-ons. Yet Salesforce research shows sellers spend only 34% of their week actually selling, because the rest gets consumed by admin, internal work, and tool hopping. When the stack feels like work instead of leverage, reps default to inbox shortcuts and spreadsheets. That's why the best sales orgs in 2025 aren't defined by what they bought. They're defined by what their team actually uses. Studies still put CRM failure rates between 20% and 70%, and the most common root cause is poor user adoption, not broken software. If we roll out platforms without a behavior plan, we're essentially betting the quarter on a coin flip. In this guide, we're focusing on what moves the needle, designing workflows first, reducing stack sprawl, cleaning data before turning on AI, and creating manager-led reinforcement that sticks. The goal isn't more tools. The goal is measurable lift in pipeline creation, pipeline velocity, and revenue, without burning out your SDRs and AEs. Define sales platform as an operating system, not a pile of tools. In 2025, a sales platform is the operating system for how work gets planned, executed, and recorded across your go-to-market motion. Most B2B teams rely heavily on CRM, 62%, and many are already using AI-driven sales tools, 65%. So, having a platform is no longer a competitive advantage. Consistent usage and clean execution are the advantage. The test is simple. Can an SDR run a full prospecting block, list building, research, outreach, follow-up, and call logging without bouncing across a dozen tabs? Salesforce found teams use an average of 10 tools to close deals, and 94% of sales organizations plan to consolidate. Consolidation isn't a cost-cutting exercise, it's a selling time recovery plan. When we talk about platform adoption, we're talking about default behavior in the moments that matter: outbound prospecting, handoffs, pipeline reviews, and renewal expansion motions. If the platform isn't the easiest path through those workflows, adoption will stall, no matter how modern the UI looks in a demo. Win adoption before you buy. Anchor every tool to workflows and revenue KPIs. The fastest way to create shelfware is buying a platform without a use case roadmap. Instead, we recommend documenting 3 to 5 core workflows that directly connect to revenue outcomes. Things like outbound sequencing, inbound lead routing, SDR to AE handoffs, multi-threaded deal engagement, and pipeline hygiene. If a tool doesn't make one of those workflows faster, more consistent, or more measurable, it's a later, not a now. This workflow-first approach also clarifies what source of truth means. In most orgs, CRM should remain the system of record for accounts, contacts, and opportunities, while a sales engagement layer handles sequences, tasks, and activity execution. Data and enrichment should feed the system, never become a parallel spreadsheet universe that breaks reporting and attribution. When leaders choose tools to fit these workflows, instead of forcing workflows to fit the tools, reps experience the platform as help, not overhead. That's the difference between "we bought new sales tech" and "we built a repeatable revenue machine." Implementation that sticks. Treat rollout like a quota-bearing initiative. Adoption needs an owner with executive backing, a timeline, and measurable targets, usually RevOps or sales enablement, supported by the CRO or VP sales. With average CRM adoption hovering around 26%, "We trained them once" isn't a strategy. It's wishful thinking. The teams that win make adoption part of how the business runs weekly, not how onboarding felt on day one. We've seen the best outcomes when rollout happens in phases: a small pilot group, 5 to 10 reps, a tight set of workflows, and clear success criteria. Think in 60 to 90 days, not a single kickoff session. Weekly office hours, live practice, manager coaching prompts, and a visible scorecard for usage and data quality. That structure turns a platform from another login into a standard operating procedure. To keep it practical, set leading indicators you can review every week: weekly active users, sequence participation, tasks completed inside the engagement platform, and the percentage of opportunities with complete required fields. And if you want behavior change, align incentives. Many orgs only pay commission when opportunity records meet standards, because clean data is a revenue asset, not admin work. In 2025, the best sales platform is the one your reps can't afford to ignore, because it's the simplest way to hit quota. Data hygiene and AI. Fix the foundation before you automate the motion. AI can amplify good process or scale bad process at speed. A recent report found 1/3 of companies lose revenue due to fragmented customer data, and only 31% say their data is ready for AI. If your CRM is full of duplicates, inconsistent fields, and missing outcomes, AI features like lead scoring and auto-personalization won't save you. They'll just generate confident-looking noise. Before turning on advanced AI, get the basics right. Required fields that match how you actually sell, a defined owner for data stewardship, dedupe rules, and integrations that prevent re-entry. The practical goal is trust. If frontline managers don't trust the dashboards, they won't coach from them, and reps won't treat the platform as the place work counts. Then adopt AI in narrow, measurable slices: email drafting from approved templates, call prep research summaries, or prioritizing leads based on clean engagement signals. Gartner-backed projections suggest 95% of seller research workflows will start with AI by 2027. So the question isn't whether AI arrives, it's whether your data and workflows are ready to benefit when it does. Reduce tool overload. Consolidate around the rep's day in the life. Tool sprawl is one of the biggest silent killers of adoption. When reps must stitch together research, outreach, dialing, and logging across disconnected systems, they'll naturally cut corners, usually in the CRM, because quota pressure is real. The outcome is predictable: incomplete records, unreliable reporting, and managers forced to coach off anecdotes instead of data. A better approach is designing a day-in-the-life flow where the engagement platform becomes the execution cockpit and CRM becomes the system of record, supported by tightly integrated data providers. This is where sales outsourcing partners and an outsourced sales team can be especially helpful, because they'll pressure test whether the workflow actually works at volume. In our experience, when you streamline execution, you reclaim time that otherwise disappears into the 66% of the week that isn't selling. Prove ROI and scale what works. Scorecards, experiments, and adoption economics. Adoption accelerates when the business case is visible. Forrester Total Economic Impact Studies of Sales Loss Platform reported up to 329% to 394% ROI over 3 years in enterprise contexts, driven by response improvements, pipeline lift, and tech cost reductions. Whether you're using SalesLoft or another engagement platform, the point is the same. Leaders will invest in what they can measure, and reps will adopt what makes them win. We recommend building a simple operating cadence: weekly usage and data quality reviews with managers, monthly workflow health checks with RevOps, and quarterly consolidation decisions based on utilization. This is also where A/B testing belongs, not just for messaging, but for the workflow itself. For example, whether SDRs should research before list assignment or after first engagement. If you don't experiment, you'll never know whether the platform is underperforming or the workflow is. In outbound motions, especially if you run B2B cold calling services, a cold email agency approach, or LinkedIn outreach services, make sure the platform is the only counting lane. When activity, touches, and outcomes are captured in one place, you can correlate behaviors to meetings booked and cost per meeting, and you can scale what works across teams instead of reinventing it rep by rep. Next steps for sales leaders: a practical 90-day adoption plan for 2025. Start with a 2-week audit of your current stack, every tool an SDR or AE touches, what it's used for, and whether it's mission-critical or redundant. Then define the 5 workflows that matter most to your revenue engine, and set adoption KPIs you'll review every single week. When you make adoption visible, you make it real, and that's how you escape the 20%, 70% failure range that still haunts CRM projects. If you're adding AI, make it measurable and narrow first. Time saved per rep, lift in reply rates, lift in meetings booked, or improved speed to lead. Remember, the consolidation trend is happening for a reason. Teams are overwhelmed, and the winners will be the ones who simplify execution while improving signal quality. That's also why many orgs explore an outbound sales agency or SDR agency model to keep activity and process consistent, while internal teams focus on closing. At SalesHive, we've seen that adoption becomes dramatically easier when workflows are designed for real SDR execution. List building services, sequencing, B2B cold calling, and clean handoffs into CRM. If your team is bandwidth constrained, pairing your platforms with a specialist B2B sales agency can shortcut the learning curve, especially for pay-per-meeting lead generation or high-volume outbound. The best platform strategy in 2025 is the one that drives consistent behavior, clean data, and predictable pipeline, without adding chaos to the rep's day.